In August of 2025, the Himalayas got hit and hit hard by a series of just catastrophic weather events. We're talking a whole month of insane rain, flash floods, and landslides that left this trail of destruction across the entire region. So let's dive into what happened, why it was so devastating, and what it all means. So, at the very heart of this entire crisis is a weather event called a cloudburst. Now, this isn't just your average heavy rain. We're talking a ridiculous amount of water getting dumped in a super short period. The best way to picture it? Imagine a giant water balloon bursting in the sky. That sudden, intense release of water is what makes them so unbelievably dangerous. And in August 2025, that's pretty much exactly what happened, over and over again. These cloudbursts set off a horrifying chain reaction across one of the most fragile mountain ranges in the world, and it all really kicked off in the Indian state of Uttarakhand. Right, so our story begins in Uttarakhand, a state that really felt the first brutal wave of this month-long crisis. The first major alarm bell went off early in the month. On August 5th, a literal wall of water, mud, and debris just came roaring through a village called Durali. It was so sudden, so overwhelming, that the community was caught completely, tragically, off guard. And the human cost was immediate and just staggering. In the aftermath of that one single flood in Uttarkashi, more than 50 people were reported missing. Just think about that. 50 people just vanished in an instant, swept away or buried. The response, thankfully, was huge, and it was fast. You had a massive multi-agency effort kick into gear. The Army, national and state disaster forces, local police, all rushing into this chaotic scene. And working in just treacherous conditions, they actually managed to save nearly 190 people, a small bit of light in a really dark situation. But Uttarakhand's ordeal wasn't over. Not even close. Just as the month was coming to an end, a whole new series of cloudbursts slammed into other districts. This proves it wasn't just some freak one-off event. It was a sustained assault. But here's the thing. Uttarakhand wasn't the only place under siege. At the very same time, the region Jammu and Kashmir was facing its own parallel, and in many ways, even more overwhelming crisis. Just look at this timeline. It really shows you how relentless this was. It wasn't one disaster they had to deal with. It was this rapid-fire series of catastrophes, one right after another. A deadly cloudburst here, another one over there, and then a massive landslide near a holy shrine, all hitting within days of each other. That event in the Kishtwar district was especially horrific. A cloudburst triggered a violent flash flood that just tore down a sacred pilgrimage route, and it literally washed away everything. Homes, kitchens set up for pilgrims, even a security camp. Just gone. And the numbers that came out of this single event are just, well, they're hard to even comprehend. At least 67 people lost their lives. On top of that, over 300 people were injured, many of them severely. And then, around 200 more were simply unaccounted for, missing. The scale of this one single tragedy is just immense. And what's really crucial to understand is that this wasn't just happening up in the remote mountains. The impact cascaded across the entire region. You had major rivers overflowing their banks after being pounded with up to 368 millimeters of rain in a single day. The city of Jammu was flooded. A border security constable was tragically swept away, and the railways had to step in and evacuate over 2,500 stranded passengers. It was chaos everywhere. So what does this all add up to? Let's take a step back for a second and connect the dots, because it paints a picture of a whole region just pushed to its absolute limit. And to really get the full context here, you have to realize that the horror of August was actually the peak of an already brutal monsoon season. Since just late June, flooding had already claimed more than 800 lives across this broader region. It's a truly staggering number. And this table really puts the devastation of just that one month into stark perspective. When you lay the numbers out side by side, just for the events we've talked about, you see this picture of immense loss. Hundreds dead or missing in the space of about 4 weeks. And this, right here, this really gets to the heart of the matter. This isn't just a string of bad luck. The experts are clear. The Himalayan region is facing a growing risk. The monsoon patterns are getting more intense, and that's making these sudden, destructive weather events way more common and way more deadly. And that leaves us with a really critical and, frankly, an unsettling question. If this kind of intensified monsoon is the new reality, what does the future actually hold for the millions of people who call the Himalayas home? What can possibly be done to protect them from a threat that is so clearly growing stronger year after year?